Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the talk show and podcast where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, sports, everything really depending on the guests. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Mayotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. Dementia Part II will be coming on in theaters May 21st, and it will be then digital on demand DVD June 1st. And we're speaking to someone that you're going to see in that film. Najarra Townsend is with us. Najarra, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. I mean, there's a lot going on in this film. There's a lot of it's packed. You know what I mean? What's that like for you when you were kind of reading the script and then shooting it? There's a lot going on in Dementia Part II.
There's a lot going on. Yes, and also the way we shot it was really like last minute and fast paced. So it was it was a lot in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. It's definitely considered a genre-bending movie because a lot of elements are being thrown into this film. What do you think about the landscape of these genre-bending movies like Dementia Part II, where they're not limiting themselves to like one aspect of things or one style of cinema?
I think that's great. I mean, I personally enjoy it. The more the merrier. And also like Mike Teston and Matt Mercer, the co-directors and writers, like it really, to me, you can see all of like where they were pulling all their inspiration from, like all these classic films that they love, they got to pack it into a movie. So I think it's cool.
It is really cool. You're not a stranger to horror movies. You've done horror movies in the past. You've worked in the genre. What do you like about the genre, Najarra?
Ooh, I like a lot of things. I like the intensity of a horror movie. Characters really are I usually get to have a lot of intense emotions in horror movies, which I find really therapeutic. Like I want to cry and scream and feel all these things. So horror movies are just like a really nice release for me. And I enjoy watching horror movies. So it's always nice to work on something that you...
Okay, so you do enjoy horror movies. Okay, because there's some people that work... It's funny. I interview some people that are like frequently working in horror, but they can't watch it. Well, like they can watch it a little bit, but they get scared.
Sure. Well, see, that's weird to me because like I felt like that when I was a kid. And then my first movie was a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I got to see like how they were made. And because of that, I was like, oh, like, yeah, sure. I still buy into it when I watch them and get scared. But like, I enjoy it because I know at the end of the day, like, oh, I could probably figure out how they made that. So it's okay. So the fear is okay.
Absolutely. But do you also see that the genre is growing and gravitating towards kind of what you said about like screaming, crying, and everything? I mean, you're gravitating also more towards like more ways to scare people. Like you don't have to have just like the gore and like the jump scare. Like people are scary.
People are scary. The world we live in is really scary.
Yeah.
So much like you can draw from anything in life, really. And that's kind of the beauty of horror. Like not only can a horror movie be about anything really, but also it can take like serious subjects and somehow make them like, I don't want to say easier to deal with, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I see what you're coming from. Absolutely. There's something about there's also something about the like ability to be so out of the box and do things that are not like it's a genre. Like comedy, at times you're limited to what you can do. Drama, sometimes you're limited what you do. I feel like there's no limits of horror.
No, I don't think there is. I think you can get away with anything in the horror genre, and people love it. Like kind of like the more out of the box you are, the more bizarre, the more it's like, ooh, yeah. It's just an exciting genre to be a part of. And that's another thing I love about it that I was going to mention is like the community.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's so good and so intense. Like every time I go to a film festival or a convention or something, like it's just the best like fandom and community.
Absolutely. Getting back to Dementia Part II, I mean, we talked about at the beginning, it's packed, there's a lot going on. When people watch this film, this is not your traditional horror film in terms of what it looks like and what's going on. What are you hoping they get out of it and grasp out of it when they watch this film?
I just hope that they have a good time with it. Like, I want you to go into this movie, like, get a drink, get ready to like sit back and just like laugh, like don't take it too seriously, just have fun.
Yeah, you definitely can't take it too seriously.
Definitely not. You're just like, yeah, the aim of the game is just to...
But it's funny because I do find that we're still in a society where we take things too seriously. Our expectations for a lot of movies are like super high, and you set yourself up to fail, I find, in the horror genre sometimes when you have like huge expectations.
Yeah. Well, if you go into a movie being like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be the scariest film I've ever seen," that's really hard.
It's funny and you laugh, but it's one of the like were you expecting it to have that much comedy aspect to it, like when you were working on it?
Yeah, yes and no.
Yeah.
I expected it to have a comedy aspect to it, of course. I was told it would. And I knew that, like, just in general, the vibe on set would be really funny and fun, but I didn't realize to what degree that meant, like, until we were shooting certain scenes and I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, okay, I get it. Yeah.
You're obviously, you're acting in this film. You're putting the actor hat on. A lot of people, gravitate towards kind of doing other things in the entertainment industry as well, like behind the camera as well, like directing, producing, writing. Maybe, acting is something you're really kind of honing in on and focusing on, Najarra. But do the other kind of behind the camera things appeal to you, like the writing, the directing, or do you want to just focus on acting?
Acting definitely is number one.
Yeah.
I do have a slight interest in producing. I think the producer role and the bringing the team together and like getting all your ducks in a row is kind of like something I would be into. So that is something I might pursue more within the future.
Down the road. Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good, yeah. But writing, no.
Yeah.
I directed a short film, last year and a half ago, like with my friends for fun, and it actually taught me a lot about just acting, every word in general, and I enjoyed it. So I could see how I could entertain that role again in the future, but at the same time, I don't know. Acting is what I get the most
for sure.
enjoyment out of.
For sure. I mean, you look at Dementia Part II, you make this film, you're wrapped, it's over, it's done, right? It's like, thank you, Najarra, like you're done, this was awesome, whatever, right? And then basically it's gonna come out and everything. So you're wrapped, you're done working on that project. Maybe it depends on different projects and different times that we're living in, certainly. But for you, after you're done that project, right, like you wrap working on that movie, are you like, let's go, let's do another movie? Do you need that rest? Like, what's the mindset like when you're done wrapping a film like Dementia Part II?
Dementia Part II is different because we shot over the course of like 5 days.
Yeah.
So, it was fun and a comedy. So like that was, I think I went straight on to something else right afterwards and it was fine. It was good. But when it's a movie that is more serious subject matter or takes a lot more out of me, then needed.
Well, there's some people that really get into their characters or like really get into like the story or the script. And it's like what you guys do. That's like you play pretend for a living and you have to like embrace it. But like there's some people that like get probably like exhausted after like working on a movie or a show.
Sure, for sure. There's been a few movies I've done where like not just because the schedule alone is exhausting, but like having to be in a certain mindset day after day like takes such a toll on your body. Like your body doesn't know you're not going through that stress.
Yeah.
So you wrap a movie and it's like I need to like take a month to let my body know that it's okay, it was fake, like to just kind of decompress.
Yeah.
It does happen.
You also, I did want to ask a quick question. I mean, I know we're talking about Dementia Part II, but Contracted, you were in that movie. Wild stuff. I mean, that type of movie that kind of just like lingers on. Like it's always kind of around or like brought up all the time. What was it like working on that film?
It was great. It was, oh my goodness. It was a long time ago.
It was a while ago, but it like still stays with you. I'm sure people always ask you about it.
They do. I mean, it was such a fun film to make. It was I think it was my first time working with like a lot of like body makeup.
Yeah, makeup.
And that was because I would get into the chair at like 4 a.m. and then we wouldn't shoot till like 8 or 9 a.m.
Yep.
And I would just be like sitting there getting like veins airbrushed on my body, and it became like a really relaxing time of day. Like I really like getting veins airbrushed on my body. It's very strange, but I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was just so much fun. And when I made that movie, I guess I didn't realize what I was making exactly.
Yeah.
Audience reactions to it after the fact were like so cool, just so good.
Well, that's why I asked you also about Dementia Part II, right? Because I feel like that's the type of film too, right? Like we're like, I watched this film and I'm like, oh man, like, you know, you see trailers or like clips, but it wasn't like what I was like. I didn't expect it to be like that. So for that, was it the same thing with that one too? Were you like, when you saw it, like, did you watch Dementia Part II?
Yeah, of course. Yes, definitely. When we made it, because I don't know if you know like the backstory of the movie, but the directors, it was a challenge for them. Like a film festival came to them and was like, hey, from conception to we're going to screen this at our festival, you have 5 weeks. Like, see if you can make this movie.
Yeah.
And they did. And when we shot it, I was kind of like, oh, like this is fun. It'll be at a festival. Cool. And then I saw it, and then it played in London, in Spain. It did way better than I ever like thought about really. And it was so much fun to watch. Like I didn't realize what we were making at the time. And sometimes that happens. Like you make a movie and then you see the finished product and you're like, oh, that's what we did. Like that is it's great.
It's crazy. It's amazing. Well, Najarra, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
So the movie's gonna get a theatrical release on May 21st, and then it's gonna be available on demand, DVD, VOD on the 1st of June. So people are gonna be able to check that out. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
At Najarra on Instagram, Twitter, Najarra Townsend on Facebook. Pretty much, my name is unusual, luckily. So type in my name, you'll find me.
Absolutely, yeah, it's true. Or like, yeah, you were able to keep it like just Najarra. Is it just Najarra?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's easy, right?
Well, as long as you can spell it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative. You're going to be able to catch Najarra and Dementia Part II coming to theaters the 21st of May, and then will be available digitally June 1st. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes for Popternative. Until next time, this is Najarra Townsend and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.